be shit. Like, you want to go believe that God's a flying squirrel, go fucking believe it. Just own it. Like, fucking own it. Like, do that.
Well,
like
believe it.
Oh,
Really
yeah.
believe it. Yeah.
Own your shit. And again, my purpose is to own my shit, love my story, live with purpose. That's what I teach other people to do. That's what I want you to do, man. Tim, I want you to own the shit out of your life. I want you to love your story. I'm going to come back to that one because the love your story part was just what you're saying. Each one of us, every single day that we get is another page of our story. It's our job to write it. The problem is with society, we've allowed other people to write on our fucking page. I did for 35 years of my life.
I resonate with that so hard till I was 31.
So I 35, yeah. Yeah, you found it sooner, dude. You found it sooner. And that's the thing, man, doing this, especially, dude, I'm a teacher, man. And especially in the education world, I did everything for everybody else. And guess what I was doing for myself? Fucking nothing. And guess what was happening inside? Nothing. My cup was empty every single day. I was trying to fill it up with other people's ideas, and it ain't going to fucking work. I said no, because it left me on a couch having a panic attack over a TV show, looking at myself going, dude, you like, man up, but calling myself, dude, you're a fucking pussy. Like,
you were literally at the end of your rope. You couldn't.
Correct. Yeah.
As much as you want it, and it literally tailspins you further.
Oh yeah. Oh dude. I mean, there was a morning I was brushing my teeth. We were getting ready to go to work. And this was like what, 5, I get up at 5:30. So it was about 6 o'clock in the morning, brushing my teeth. I saw a plane fly across, like, wonder where they're going. Wonder if they're aliens. Shit, we're going to be attacked by aliens. Now I got to go live in a hole. Like, dude, I went to a full panic attack at 6 o'clock in the morning before I got to go to work. I'm like, dude, like, am I going fucking crazy? But no, I wasn't. What I was doing is I was living a life dependent on other people. I was looking for other people to say, Clay, yeah, you have what it takes and you're good enough. And I wasn't answering those questions myself. And in order to do that, when I talk about purpose, it's what you were talking about is, you know exactly who you are. When you know who you are, you don't have to fucking second guess. Listen, my story is my story. I love my wife. I love my kids to death. I will do anything for them. I'll take a bullet for them. You fuck with them, you're going to fuck with me. Like, that's how I roll. But they don't write on my story. They don't write on my page. That's my page to write on. Like, nobody gets to do that. And I allowed too many people to write on my page. I allowed other people to do that, other people to influence that, and would change my story. I don't do that anymore. Like, I write my own story. That shit's mine. And if you don't like it, I'm cool with that. That's just the way it is.
100% agree with you. I don't want anybody to write my story. You want the ball in your court. You want the pen in your hand.
It's yours, man.
And we've been taught to hand it over. And you mentioned something that you were...
Serve everybody else, but not yourself.
Yeah, and you mentioned, like, you seek external validation. You don't validate yourself.
Yeah.
It's like chasing your tail.
Yeah.
But it's not your tail. It's their tail. And you're just running and trying to catch up, and you'll never know where they're going, so you just keep running.
And guess what's right below their tail? Bunch of shit.
Bunch of shit.
Bunch of shit. An asshole.
Definitely
a bunch of shit.
Yeah, and the thing is, I teach that to a lot of, like, I have some female clients too. Like I said, like, I don't like broadly teaching to anybody but men, because to your point, I'm not going to argue out of ignorance. I know what it takes to be a man, but I also help a lot of women too. And one of the things that is very common and very difficult is the traumas from narcissistic men. Narcissistic relationships. And one of the biggest takeaways that I have anecdotally with these men is that very point is they were never initiated into their own manhood by a father figure or role model properly. And so they're seeking that outside validation. And when they don't get it, there's a part of them that just snaps, and then they need it so bad that they'll do everything to force the chapter to be written their way.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
And what ends up happening is, because they weren't initiated, they don't have the temperance to understand how to write that properly. And that's where this man up, the toxic side of this man up comes from, is because they don't know. Like, I know for a fact what my guardrail is on my ego, what my guardrail is on my violence, what my guardrail is on my opinion, what the guardrail is on my truth. And I hate saying that, on truth, not my truth. It's not a perspective. It's fucking on truth. I know what the guardrails are, because I've seen how the outer edges look.
Yeah.
If you weren't initiated, or you've never experienced those outer edges, You don't have a metric to guide you.
Yeah.
And so when you can't answer those 2 questions and you have no guardrail and you need that external validation, you go out of your way to subjugate people to your story.
Yeah.
Whereas Clay, his story is his story. He
Yeah.
can hand that book to somebody to read, but they don't get a fucking pen.
No. You only get to read it.
You only get to read it. And I'll let you know when there's an edit that needs to be happening. But these specific types of individuals is they are so attaboy hungry that after a certain point, they're not getting what they need, and they don't have the tool set to rein it in. They start trying to subjugate everybody else into a chapter. Yeah. They're trying to write other people's stories.
Yep.
Right. And so I teach a lot on temperance in that space. Yeah. And that's just something that I resonated very heavily with, is that external validation point. That's one thing that I've never had. I had the external validation within my perimeter, right? My wife at the time, divorced now, her family, my family. I was checking society's boxes. At the house, at the car, at the
society was your parameter.
So the overarching general morality was my parameter of what we deem success. Success was my parameter, I guess.
Yeah.
But whose success is the question that I finally started answering. Whose success? It's not my success. I want success. I want to change lives. I want to be a badass. I have one of my clients. He's like, dude, I just love the idea of being dangerous as fuck. I was like, well, go get dangerous, bro. He's like, no, you can't. I was like, yeah, you can. Men should be fucking monsters and then reel it in and know when to use it. But you go get dangerous. And I guarantee you won't have to fucking tell people you're dangerous. You'll walk different. You'll carry yourself different. Go fucking learn to be different. Go be dangerous. And I tell guys, I was like, warrior mentality is handled better by women nowadays than men. That's fucking sad.
That's true.
Women align themselves with the warrior mentality because they've had to be single moms and single mothers, or single moms, victims of narcissism, victims of problems. So they go, yeah, I'm a badass bitch because I went through hell. Men do not align with warrior ethos anymore, and it's sad as fuck to me. And that's what Heroes Veritas is about, bringing the truth back to heroes. And that's again, I'm getting on my soapbox, but that's one of the things that I run into problems with a lot of guys, which made me start this is, dude, you need to man up. You need to man up.
And we're saying that, and that's saying in a good way.
Yeah, you don't need to man up based on their fucking parameter. You need to man up on your fucking parameter. Yes. You need to find out what your foundations are made of. And then you need to find out if you can handle it. And if you can, fucking fantastic. You're going to kill it. You're going to crush it. But if you can't, fucking sure the gap up, bro. Go man up on your terms.
Yes.
Because every time you man up on your fucking terms, everybody is excited to read that fucking story. Yourself.
Absolutely.
Yourself.
To me, I always say step up or step in so you can step up. That's all it is. That's the same thing. Man up, step in, step up. That's what you're doing, is step into that shit. Like for me, like I didn't want to deal with my anxiety. I didn't tell anybody for 15 years. I kept the shit inside, locked it down, or tried to lock it down. This shit didn't, it didn't work, obviously. I mean,
obviously, yeah.
And it's like, that's what we do. No, push it down. Don't feel feelings. Don't cry. Like I used to try to hold in so much, like crying at movies and stuff like that. I'm like, fuck it, dude. That's who I am, man. Like I cry at sappy movies. I love those like reality love shows. Like, dude, I'm a hopeless romantic. I would be the first one out of me and my wife. I'm the one that's like, hey, let's go see a chick flick romantic comedy. I'm like, dude, I love them. They're great. But like, I own it though. Like I didn't used to because it makes me a pussy. Like, no, it doesn't. It makes me like fucking chick flicks and laughing at that stuff because I'm a hopeless romantic. I'm okay with that. But that's also one of the reasons why I was willing to put myself in a position to be hurt again. Like I put right now, I don't even know what the statistics are, but for a man to get divorced and then married twice, the statistics goes pretty down. For a third time, it's not really that a man's not really going to do that a third time because of the hurt that comes along with it that we don't want to deal with. So for me, like that statistic wise is like, nah, I'm going to get rid of that statistic because I believe in love. And I'm not afraid to say that. I used to be afraid to say that, but I'm not. And that's important. So
it's not just that. That's your impetus, but it's your, and this is a very big credit to yourself that I don't think you're giving yourself credit for. The reason that the statistic is there is not just the trauma, right? It's the unwillingness to realize what's the fucking common denominator. It's me. I gotta go work my shit out.
Yeah.
You believe in love, so you can make an argument that maybe that was the reason why you did it, but you took yourself out and was like, holy shit, I fucked that up twice. Like, I got to go work on that. I got to figure out why I had anxiety for 15 years. I got to figure out why I can't communicate, why I'm getting angry when the fucking dishes aren't done or some shit, right? I don't know what your story is, but that makes you a 1% success rate in itself among men, because men typically, because of how society rules it, is they have this viewpoint of like, that's the way I am. If you don't accept it, fuck you, which is a terrible, terrible way to look at it.
Correct. I totally agree.
And two, you saw yourself and was like, I don't like who I am. Why would somebody else like who I am? And you went and did the work, which opens you up to rewrite that story, tear out that page and move to the next chapter and be like, third time's a charm. Let's go.
No. I don't want to tear it out. That shit has to stay in there. Yeah. That shit has to stay in there.
Yeah.
But no. Yeah. Absolutely right. Here's what I've learned. That the more, and especially after revealing my purpose, doing the work to do that, dude, listen, it sucked going through the shit to reveal your purpose, but I'll be honest with you, with my part, that's the easy part. The hard part is afterwards, knowing exactly why you're here, is to start implementing. And this is where purpose infused comes, is infusing that purpose into every single thing you do. Dude, that's the hard work, because that's the shit of years and years and years you got to change. But when I go back and I look at that process that I went through, dude, there's a lot of stuff that I started to become aware of. And here's awareness is fucking key. If you don't become aware and open your eyes up to the shit that's going on around you and the way the universe is working for you or against you, and against you, again, victim mentality versus shit, I just thought the other one, growth mentality. Like, there's a big difference. Victor, are you the victor? Or are you the victim? I'm the victor. I ain't the fucking victim. But here's what I've learned. The more I become aware, the more I know I need to become more aware. And that is becoming something that is so ingrained in me over the last 4 to 5 months. The more I become aware, the more I know I need to become more aware. And that is just something, like, to me, as I say that, dude, that's a beautiful thing, man, because that opens me up to everything. I can take criticism. Somebody like, dude, you're a fucking bitch. Like, fuck you. Like, your program's dumb as shit. Like, you're too soft, and feel like, I had a guy say that, like, oh, your wife's going to leave you and fuck somebody else that's more manly than you. I'm like, dude, I was like, you obviously don't know my wife then, man. I'm like, but you obviously don't know me either, because if you did know me, you know that's totally not the case. I'm like, it's okay, because what makes me strong, and that's one of the things too, is because we were talking about, like, I think it was like crying or something like that, or like this stuff, and they're like, ah, you're soft and stuff like that. Your wife's gonna go fuck somebody else. I'm like, yeah, okay. But I'm like, listen, because I'm willing to do that, like, that gives me strength. Before, I was weak when I was sitting there going, I don't want to deal with my feelings. I'm going to be a tough guy. And Man Up, I think, has a bad premise because of the macho man. I could drink more beer than you, sleep with more girls than you, and lift more weights than you. Rah! I mean, dude, I know that because I fucking did it. Like, that was me for a period of time. And it's like, dude, what did that get me? It got everything pressed down, didn't deal with the shit I was going through, didn't deal with the fact that, I was chasing the major leagues. I took myself out of the game because I didn't stop when I needed to stop. Ultimately, I didn't want to own that fact that I took myself, I took my dream away. Because of what I chose to do, I took my dream away. Then when we go to divorce, and then a second divorce, like, there's parts of me I didn't want to own this shit. Dude, you are where you are in life because of the choices you have made, period. That's it. And I get people all the time, Tim, are like, dude, Clay, you don't understand, man. You don't understand. And here's what I say. I said, you're right. I don't understand, but I don't have to. You do, because it's your story. And you need to own that shit. You need to love that shit. And you need to reveal your purpose and know exactly why you're here on this earth, and go live every fucking day in excitement. And they're like, damn, okay. I'm like, I don't have to know your story. I got to know my story. And this is my story, what I'm telling you. And you can utilize it to help you, or you can be like, fuck you. And I'll be like, I'm cool with either one, because guess what? You have that choice, and I respect that choice. I'm cool with that.
I'm the same way. Like, I 100% agree. And that's a good segue. I want to segue into this thing that happened today.
Yeah,
I think it really aligns with Man Up. So I'm talking to a guy, And he's like, dude, you're just not masculine enough. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, your beard isn't long enough. Your voice isn't deep enough. He's like, I just don't feel like you're a man. And I'm like,
Did you laugh at him?
I did.
Okay, I would have laughed just like I just did there.
Yeah.
I would have like, all right, cool.
And I was like, so long beard, and I'm kind of a dick sometimes, when people are just being dicks. And so he's like, so I was like, long beard, deep voice, like makes you a man. Like most guys can grow a beard and most guys can fake a voice. So what you're talking about is theatrics. Yeah. I'm not trying to fucking be anybody but me, and I'm not trying to be a man that isn't me. So like if it means that I'm not masculine enough or not manly enough because my beard isn't longer or because I don't deepen my voice, like you have some really fucked up priorities.
or perspective, perspective, right. Yeah.
I mean, you just showed me your kinks, but whatever. But yeah, so like I bring that up because one of the things that popped in my head because I knew we were gonna have this conversation is when we hear man up. I know the answer, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. I know.
Yeah.
But when we hear man up, is it better to play the game and be theatrical, to line up with man up, or is it better to risk not being viewed as a man within a certain perimeter or group, so that you're true to yourself?
It's always true to yourself. The old me would have said play the game. That was the old me. But what did that get me? Sitting on a couch having a panic attack, looking at my wife going, if I can't provide and protect for myself, how in the fuck am I going to do this for my wife and my family? That's where it got me. Yep. It got me 2 divorces. I mean, part of my fault, part of their fault, but it got me 2 divorces. I mean, it got me decisions along the way that I didn't like, I didn't agree with. They didn't go with my moral character. They didn't go with who I was. And it got me lost for a lot of years because I wasn't true to myself. I was trying to be somebody else for other people. And so I'm always going to say, dude, just be true to yourself. And like I say, I mean, I love and hate when people say, I don't give a fuck about what anybody else thinks. Like I love and hate it because it's true, but it's not true. Like,
it's not true. There's no level of that's true. Everybody cares what other people think. How you integrate that knowledge is what is a tool set that is lost.
Yeah.
Right? We have
what I accept and don't accept out of that is totally up to me.
But you do give a shit, right?
Yeah.
And there's a priority list, and this is what I teach with Set the Perimeter. There's a priority list of how much you give a shit. But we are neurologically hardwired to give a shit. Otherwise, society could not exist.
Yeah.
Fundamentally impossible. So we do care. There's no level of like, I just don't give a shit. You care.
Yeah.
You just need to learn how to filter that care to the people that matter the most. Like me, I have my war council, which are the guys that help me build fucking kings into kings. Mm-hmm. I have my family and friends, which I don't really say I have friends because like if you're my friend, we're family. Like I'll go to the war for you.
Yeah.
And then I have everyone else, right? Like, and I might respect you. Like even the guys that I was talking about earlier that I revere, you're not in my perimeter, bro. So if you came to me and you're like, you know what, you'll never make it, kid. I'd be like, well, all right, well, shows what you fucking
cool.
Like it wouldn't even
like, me. In fact, that would give me fuel, man. I love when people say that. You can't do it. I've been told that my whole life. I'm going, yeah, fuck you. I'll say.
Exactly. So like for me, like like I said, I knew the answer. It's always about being true to yourself.
Yeah.
And like
it wasn't. And that's what people have to be truthful. Like if I was sitting here, and this is what I think is different about you and me sometimes too, is from other people, is that even coaches will give you the answer that they want you to hear. And they won't actually say the truth. Like they won't say like the prior me, that was me. I would have been like, fuck yeah, play the game, like be the cool guy. Like that would have been me. But I like right now, like that's the truth of the matter. The truth is I used to be like that. The truth is I used to act a certain way. That's the fucking truth. So I'm not going to sit here and bullshit you, but I'm going to give you the real fucking story of who Clay Smeltzer is, because that's my story. That goes to the second thing. Love your story. I don't like everything that I chose to do in my life. I don't like it all, but I fucking love it. Like I love my story. Why? Because it got me the man, the husband, the father that I am today, the man I am today, the conversations that we're having. It got us to the point where you and I sat down and said, listen, we need to do this and we need to have conversations so people hear this shit and can join us and have the same conversations with us that you and I are having, because they're fucking important.
100%. And I agree 100%. Like I find that I can, like, I made a post today about being vulnerable. I went through a really bad breakup.
Yeah. I loved it too.
Oh, I'm glad. And so like I talked about like I still have guys that follow me who will just randomly DM me and call me a pussy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's cool, man. I occupy real estate. Like, it's cool. But
Yeah.
just a synopsis for people on your podcast or people that don't follow me that are listening to this. I talked about how it broke me. Like, I broke up with this person, and I thought that they were going to be my everything at the time. And I broke up. It fell apart. And it was because I fucked up. Like, I failed to deliver on a certain number of things. And for the month after that, or however long it was, I was posting on my story and like really sappy, like brokenhearted shit. Right. And I had guys at the time, most people just ignored it. Some people like engaged and were like, you cool. But most like that I found that actually engaged were like, you're a fucking pussy. Stop being weak. Stop being a bitch. Like all this other stuff. And I posted today and I was like, listen, like that was what I needed to do to get through that at the time.
Yes.
You guys think that it's okay to press all that stuff down, but emotions have to go somewhere. They will either end up in vices, they will end up in aggression, or they will end up in destruction.
They'll be in your shadow.
Exactly. They do not just dissipate because you ignore them. And so that was my way of sharing my pain with the world. And it was just kind of out, and then it was done. And then I never think back on it. But I wanted to share that because I still have people that still think that that's the person in this moment helping other people. That's still that guy. And it's like, that's not me, dude. Like, that was a moment in time. And a lot of us get stuck in this man up mentality of playing this facade of that's who I was, and therefore I have to be here. Right? I have to be here. It's like, you don't have to be here if you were there, and you don't have to be there if you're here. Like, take the step, but go all in. Like, take the full step. Don't leave your foot over there and think that you're going to be all good. You're not. And so you said something that really like brought me to this statement of like, you and I are very different because we don't tell people to ignore that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want you to forget it. I made a misspeak earlier and you called me on it. Don't say the page out, turn it. Start writing a new story. And that's true. Like, that's how we coach, is like, I need you to understand that that's you. Whether you like it or not, that's you.
That's you.
And if you don't integrate that, it'll continue to fucking kick your ass.
Oh, yeah. And it's called your shadow, and the fucking thing gets darker and darker, and then it takes over, and you're like, where'd this come from? It's like all the shit you didn't deal with.
Yep, that's what happened to me. I fought probably 5 times a week for like 3 years straight, like physical fist fucking fights, violence. I'd go to a bar, I'd get in a fist fight. I'd go to the shopping mart, I'd get in a fucking fist fight. What'd you say to me? And I'd get all fuck. And it was because I grew up in this chaos. Where I grew up was the hood. It was like I grew up in this chaos. And then I ignored all my fucking problems. And I'm the same guy. I'm the fucking sappy love guy too. I'm like one of my favorite movies is a movie called Penelope. It's a weird fucking fairy tale about a pig-nosed girl. Like I'm like, I love that shit because it's magical and whimsical and it makes me not think about the shit that I want to think about, you know? But because I was repressing all that, somebody would call me out and tell me to man up and be like, bro, I'm manner than you, blah, blah, blah. And I'm fucking I try and fight him. I hated that fucking guy. I was threatening people at work because I was aggressive about them calling me on my shit or my ego was being attacked. Or you don't need to do all that shit.
Yeah.
Let Clay help you get to the place where you don't need all that shit.
Yeah.
Because you don't. And it doesn't serve you, and it doesn't serve your story, and it doesn't help you get anywhere faster or better. And all it does is alienate you and anybody that comes in contact with you.
Just pisses yourself off.
Yeah. Then you're just completely out of sync and you can't do shit about it because you don't want to do the work. So like that's why we got into this to
Nah, dude, I love your soapboxes.
And I just get fucking amped up, and I'm like, fucking go.
I love your soapboxes. They're great, dude. And listen, our listeners are gonna love them too. And we both do that. And I think that's so true, man. I forget who I had this conversation with, but it was probably about 2 or 3 days ago, and we talked about like that macho. Oh, it was actually today. That machoism, like really, what that is insecurity. Like it's because you don't want to go to your feelings. Listen. I pressed everything down. I didn't want to deal with my anger. Like for me, I didn't have anger issues like all the time, it took a lot to press my button, but if you press my button, dude, it's like a fucking nuclear explosion. It still is. I have a lot more control over it, but like I didn't want to actually accept that that was the case. But the thing is I always looked at it as a bad thing and I didn't accept it as like, how can I actually use this energy? Just like anxiety. Guys, there's a lot of guys out here who won't admit they have anxiety like me. I didn't do it for 15 years, but anxiety can actually help you. Guys, listen, I was an athlete. I played at a high level of baseball. I used that shit every fucking time I stepped up to the plate, anxiety. I was in it over and over and over. Dude, I mean, my anxiety doesn't even compare to some of the shit that you went through because you've been in war. You've gone to war. Like that shit right there. You're in it, you're in it, you're in it, you're in it. You're utilizing it all the time. And then you come back or my game stopped. I didn't use it anymore. So guess what happens? The same shit kept chemicals kept releasing in my body for things like there's an airplane, aliens are going to attack us. Like what the fuck are you talking about? Like or am I going to this actually I'll just talk about body image because guys don't want to talk about that. Like, oh, I got this little pooch on my belly and I don't like it. Like, oh shit, am I going to get fat? Like you know, all those different things that come along with that. Am I going to get a heart attack? You know, all these different things. Like I didn't want to deal with that stuff and actually look about how can it actually be beneficial to me. Anxiety can be extremely beneficial because in the time and need when I need it, it's going to be there. And whoever's in my way at that point in time, well, you better watch out because you know if you're especially going after my family, you probably won't be getting back up. I'll just let you know that. So,
Yeah.
like you know, like
Yeah,
so all these
it
different
should be.
things,
You
like
should be harmless. You
yeah,
should be harmless.
yeah, and that's where it's like I didn't want to bring that. I didn't want to step in. That's why I always say step in so I can step up because that's what I did. I stepped into every one of those things that was in my shadow, dude. My shadow was fucking dark as shit and it was just overtaking my life. And that's what happens. And I didn't want to deal with it because I was insecure about dealing with it. So I tried to play the facade of saying, "Hey, look at me, ha, big tough guy." Like you know, well, I don't want to say drinking as I got older, but one of my younger days, it was chicks drinking and lifting weights. Like, who could be more manly than you? Well, that doesn't prove shit. Like, oh, like, woo. Like, it just doesn't do that shit because the behind the scenes is I wasn't willing to deal with the shit that actually mattered.
Like you said, it's a facade. It's just it's not stepping in. It's literally stepping out. It's literally
Yeah.
like let me do everything I can to not deal with the shit that I need to
Yeah.
deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
we've
why
been talking for a
some of
while.
those guys, you just need to say, dude, listen, I love you and give him a hug.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of times it's weird because I was military and I'm open about it. I had a lot of regrets because I was a shitbag Marine. Like I will fucking tell you straight to your face. Like I wasn't a badass. I wasn't fucking doing badass things. Like I was a shitbag fucking Marine. Like, and it took me a while to get to deal with that, right?
Mhm.
Like because I have guys, and this hits me every year. Like I have guys that aren't here because I can be, right? Like that's a lot of
Mhm.
weight and a lot of guilt. And I recently integrated that to be a strength rather than a burden. But
Yeah.
like
Awesome.
knowing that I am shit then and I'm the one that is here when they gave all of their fucking courage and life for me, fucking talk about a mind fuck when you get back. And then dealing with
Mhm.
just reintroduction to just everything that's going on. Like
Yeah.
it's a fucking nightmare, bro. Like it's a
Yeah.
nightmare. And so and I'm not saying that like, oh, let me one up everybody's problems because like everybody has their own shit.
No,
But
no, no. But that's your problem. That's here's the thing. When you say that one up, like we have a society that wants a one up, dude. It's your fucking problem. That's
yeah,
do own it. Like,
yeah, but
and
that
then there's
gives me
these
that
problems. Like,
unique place of
yeah,
like I
yeah.
understand. Like you were
It's your
saying earlier,
story,
I
man.
don't understand.
Yeah,
I don't understand your story, but I understand what it would feel like. I can draw on
yeah,
an experience to get a sentiment of what it would feel like so that I can help guide you. But at the end
yeah,
of the day, the shit isn't easy, but it is fucking simple. It's not easy, but it is fucking simple. Own your shit.
yeah. That's it.
That's it.
That's
And
the first
everything
thing. Own
falls
your
in.
shit.
Everything
Yeah,
falls in. And you know, we've been talking for a little while, and I want to start wrapping this up because
yeah.
I know like my audience doesn't like long ones. They want,
Oh,
especially with everything going on in the world now, they don't drive to work for a long period of time anymore. So,
yeah, that's true.
um,
Yeah.
so I love ending mine with tactics. right? Like I tell guys, I'm giving you tactics. I want you to understand. I'm going to give mine, but I want it to end on your voice. I want everybody to have your tactics as the last thing that they hear. So what we've talked about today is the pros and cons of man up. We've dived really deep into how society views it and what it does to us when we're trying to play this facade. We're playing into this, right? So for mine, for mine, and I would love to hear your viewpoint too. The tactics that I teach and the tactics that I want guys, one, obviously own your shit, but two, give yourself grace.
Yeah,
this is one of the hardest things for men to do. It's why fun is one of my pillars within the coaching program, is because we don't give ourselves grace for who we were. We don't give ourselves grace for the gaps in who we are, and we don't give ourselves grace enough to become the people we need to, and so it stunts our growth. And so step in and like become 100% owner of your shit. Understand that you need grace. Just because you were that doesn't mean you are that. Just because you are that doesn't mean you will be that. So give yourself grace. And three, take the hard fucking step. Like I said, it's not easy, but it is simple. Make your list, write them down, and go and fucking execute them. Don't just fucking sit on and be like, well, now I know. Like, do something about it. And don't give yourself that time to go and mourn the death of the person you are. And I say that a lot. The figurative death of the people we are, that's a weight off of us, but it's also, you have to mourn who that was. I had to mourn that facade. I had to deal with the ego hit of, dude, you like fucking romantic comedies. Dude, you did have to go through hell, and you were a shitbag fucking Marine, and you weren't a fucking Billy badass, and you did get into fights because you had anger issues. Killing that figurative me had its own repercussions, and it's not easy, and it does cause more chaos than it fixes in the beginning. But I wouldn't trade me for anybody now. I fucking love the shit out of me. So those are my tactics. I know you teach very different, similar but different on your side, so I'd love to finish out with yours.
And for me, it really comes down, I think it's more relatable to the 4 Ps that I teach, and that's purpose, planning, productivity, and profitability. And that goes into what the why. Like, first of all, why the fuck you wake up? Like, why do you go to work? Why do you do this as a dad? Why do you do this as a husband? Why do you do this as a man? Like, to me, it comes back to that. There's the why. Why do you do this shit? And then have a plan. If you don't have a plan, you're like running around in a fucking circle. It's like, hey, we're gonna go on vacation. Where are you going? I don't fucking know. But you're gonna waste a lot of time doing shit. So have a plan to it. And then productivity is taking action. If I said, hey, I'm gonna do this, like, then fucking do it. And the profitability part is the results that you get. So really it's kind of the 4 Ps, but I'm gonna add one to your list there too. That's more of a thing that they could practice right now. And one of those things is gratitude. It's going to change your fucking life. Listen, man, if you want to change your life, because there's a lot of people that are going to be listening to this and that are men out there that are just like, dude, I'm just fucking stuck. Like, and what tactics you gave and the 4 Ps that I gave, they're going to be like, fuck it, I ain't doing it. Like, they're just not going to do it. But dude, you can wake up and be like, thank you. Like, that's all you gotta say. Or you can eat a fucking blueberry bagel and be like, dude, thank you for, like, this is great. This blueberry bagel is fucking good, man. Like, just simple shit like that. The more you practice gratitude, the more you start the lenses of your life, that fog on the lens of your life starts to dissipate. If you want to change your life, practice gratitude. And I use the word practice because you need to fucking practice it. It isn't just waking up going be like, yeah, gratitude everywhere. Like, no, dude, it was hard as shit for me 5 years ago.
It's awkward
to be like, dude, like, and I told people, I tell my wife, like, she was my wife, but I'm like, dude, I'm super grateful for you. Like, super weird. Like, also, I do gratitude journals. I do gratitude challenge. And actually I'm going to have one coming up. So anybody that's listening to this too, please pay attention, coming up here soon. I'm going to be starting to put some stuff out, but gratitude challenge, do it for 15 days. Just write down something in the morning every single day, or just say it out loud. Be like, dude, I'm grateful that I just fucking woke up today. Or I'm grateful because this is like this is my favorite workout hat. And it smells, I mean, it has that nice sweat smell too. So I like it for that too. I like that. But, yeah. But it doesn't have the pine tar on it. That's best. The sweat hat and the pine tar hat, those two are the man. That's the sweetest, one of the sweetest smells on earth. But but gratitude, man. And I'm grateful for that smell, man. Like, it's something simpler like that. It doesn't have to be over the top. It just has to happen. And if you want to change your life, practice some gratitude. So, Man, I enjoyed our conversation. This is just the first
Oh
of
yeah.
many fucking conversations we're gonna have. That was awesome, dude. Because really is. And again, here's what it comes back to. It all comes back to you. So any listener or any viewer that's watching this, what are you gonna do with your life? Are you gonna own your shit? Are you gonna love your story? Are you gonna live with purpose? Are you gonna be a hero, of your life? And that's really what it is being the hero of your life and taking that to the step, taking action, practicing gratitude, doing those things that Tim and I talked about here. And again, if you got something out of this and you found value, dude, just pass it forward, man. That's all we ask. Just pass it forward.
Appreciate you, brother.
Man, appreciate you too, dude. We're gonna have some good fun conversations, man.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
We didn't even get into the really dirty stuff.
Oh, I know. This is the high level. This is just giving them a taste. I can't even wait for the
love it, man. So
because I know that we think this was very telling of how much we think alike, but also how much we think different.
yes,
Some of it's semantics, right? Some of it's just the
Yeah.
words we use. But other a lot of times it's not semantics. It's fucking
Yeah.
like it's real deep shit where it's like, no, I don't do that.
Oh yeah, it's not on the surface. Yeah,
Like,
and that's
I'm
what
over here writing notes because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I want to do that. Like, oh, I want to do this. So like,
Yeah.
I'm learning while I'm with you.
Absolutely.
Is what it's about. So
That's it, and I love that, and that's what I love about the conversations that we have. It's because it's meaningful. I don't think we've ever had a conversation that wasn't meaningful, that didn't stay on the surface, and that's what we do. Guys, stay on the surface. Get the fuck off the surface and go a little deeper. Like, come on, connect with your inner self, and you'll find the world a lot better place.
yeah,
Instead of staying on the surface and be like, oh, it's just fucking boring.
I actually I was talking to somebody the other day, and we were at work. I'm working from home. They're working from home. So like we're doing water cooler talk from our home. I'm like, dude, we're not forced to fucking have this conversation.
Yeah.
Like you do realize that. Like you could literally just be like, all right, bro, and sign off and it's cool. And he wanted to have this water cooler talk about like how's the weather there? And I'm like, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't want to have this conversation right now. I was like, what are you doing outside of work? And he's like, well, what do you mean? And I was like, you got a business? Do you have hobbies? Like, I don't want to fucking talk about the weather with you.
Yeah.
I don't talk about shit like that in my circle.
Yeah.
It's boring.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. Nobody. And everybody, like, I made a post the other day about like how I'm grateful for my neighbors, right? Because they like came out and I have a lot of manners with them and whatever. I talk very deeply with all of my fucking neighbors. And people think I'm fucking weird. Right? Because when you first start talking, they're like, why are we talking about this weird shit? Like
Yeah.
I'm talking about their job, I'm talking about their family, I'm talking about what their struggles are, I talk about their frustrations and their stress, like, and they get kind of like awkward, right?
Yeah.
But I'm consistent because I actually give a shit. Like I love
Yeah.
connecting with people. And then by like the second or third time, I'm finding out about their kids' problems, their knee problems, dads, and I always tell my everybody, right? Fiercely loyal with people that I connect with.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we're not super close, I can help and I can without acting the inner circle. I will. And so like one of my neighbors, we just had our fence done, and it's the joining fence. And I thought that because I rent and they own, I thought that property management half. Come to find out, he had to pay for all of it because they were going to wait 6 months to even start. And he was like, "I want it done." So like I was texting him because they left the fence unfinished on my side.
Yeah.
They left 2 conduit boxes on the ground. They didn't finish a board near the retaining wall. And I texted my property management company and I was like, "Yo, this isn't cool. Like obviously I can fix that shit. Like easy, but I shouldn't have to. I rent." And they just sent my text to him and it created some contention. Because they're like, "Dude, what the fuck? Mine looks good on this side. Like, why are you telling them? Why didn't you just tell?" And I was like, "Well, I didn't want you to have to pay for it. Like, I want them it to come out of their tab." And he's like, "Pay for all of it." And I was like, "My bad, bro." And he had a rough day. Like, he had a hella rough day, and I didn't know that. We were just fucking off. We got text like, fucking like it's not a big fucking deal, dude. Like, blah blah blah. And I'm like, "Bro, I get it. If you have to pay for it, I'll just fix it. I'm not worried about it." Like, but I'm more worried about the fact that you had a real fucking day. Like, can I help share the burden? Is what I said. I was like, "Can I help share the burden?" And he stopped and he was like, "Dude, I'm sorry. I just had to deal with a lot of bullshit today. I shouldn't have blown up at you like that." And I was like, "I don't care that you blew up on me. Are you cool?"
Yeah.
Like, are you good?
Care
Like,
that you're good, man.
and then he was like, holy shit, bro. Like, yeah, I'm good. It was just stressful. I was like, seriously, let me know. And so today he texted me. He's like, dude, you're a fucking cool ass neighbor. Like nobody would have like thought.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna get pissed. And I have my Marine Corps flag out, so he sometimes makes a joke like he's like, I don't want you to fuck me up. Like no, not like that. You know. Or
So
like I was in
not.
the corner and there's a Marine. He was a veteran longer than me. He was in for 12 years. I think he did like 3 tours. Like and I go down. It was Memorial Day, and I was having a hard day. Like it was a rough day. Some years are better than others.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why, but I was just having a rough day. And I was driving, and I was coming back from the gym. I just felt I was like, I need to go. I want to go knock on his door and just check in, And I argued with myself. I was like, oh, I'm not going to do it. Like I'm not going to do it. Like he don't know me like that. I don't know him like that. Weird. People don't want to talk about this stuff. I'm not going to do it. I got home and I took my shower, got done with the gym, and then I went back to what I was doing, and then it just stuck with me, and I was like, I'm just gonna go fucking do it, and I just fucking went and did it, and they weren't home, they were on a lake, but they had their ring, so their phone, and so like they were talking to me over Ring. A few days later, he was like, hey dude, nobody's ever fucking done this. It's cool as shit. Like he's like, I'm good though. Like I love my family, I'm good, but that's cool as shit. And I was like, yeah, for sure, bro. Like I was having a hard day, and he's like, are you good? And I'm like, oh no, my demons are integrated. Like we're good. Like we pop a top like twice a year, Veterans Day and Memorial Day, and we're good. Rest of the time, I let myself feel all day, and then the rest of the time, I celebrate who they were by honoring their sacrifice for me, and I live for all 4 of them. So there was my buddies, there were 4 of them, and I live for all 4 of them, and that's what I do. And
awesome.
I think about them every day, every minute of every day, but I think about them from the perspective of like, I have to honor their memory and their sacrifice rather than being sad and like this survivor's guilt, which I went through for a couple years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, that's how I work. And I used to like feel really weird about that because people are like, don't ask questions like that. Don't tell everybody your life story. Don't connect with people. And I'm like,
do it, man.
I gotta do it. I gotta do it.
And that's who you are. It gives you, and the cool thing is it gives you an opportunity to help. And that's what I think a lot of people need and understand is like, just like our brotherhood, the conversations that we have in our brotherhood, the thing I love the most is when we do wins for the week is when one of the brothers says, listen, what we talked about last week, I actually shared and helped somebody else that was going through the same situation. I'm like, dude, that just warms my heart. I'm like, this is the whole point. This is the whole reason why we do what we do. We have the conversations because it's expanding. We can, as men, when we come together, we can expand exponentially. And that's what we're doing. So, dude, fucking great conversation, man. I love it.
This is awesome.
You speak.